For the first time ever, let's count down my water ride credits. I've now done 45 water rides around Europe, including one dueling one, if this thing counts. I'm gonna tell you my top 10 fares today, all from dark water rides to wild and wet experiences. On a lot of these rides, every single ride can differ. And some of them greatly depend on who you ride with for the fun factor. I will not be featuring water coasters on this list, that would be for a roller coaster list. Enough blabbering, let's get wet. At number 10 is Flashback at Walibi, Belgium. This mock log flume shares layout with Crazy River at Walibi, Holland, but it's got extra theming for extra fun. Starting off with a tunnel with lights, followed by 3 wonderful drops including a backwards one, and my favorite, the double down granting fun floater airtime and speed.
Prepare for trouble!
Make it double!
You won't get off this ride dry either, at least not if you're a group of 3 getting intimate with 3 other strangers like we did. And it's just a very completed log flume with a good layout, fun theming, can recommend. At number 9 is Rio Grande Rafting at Jubalaires. Who doesn't love a good old rapids? Wait, I know who. Rio Grande is an interlinked rapid river ride, and has the traditional fun elements that any rapid should have. It also has some weird dips breaking the laws of physics, plenty of water jets, and an awesome Wild West theme. Cause who doesn't love getting washed in the 1860s dry Texas?
You want water, you better go dunk your head in the horse trough.
It's a very well-rounded rapids with beautiful scenery, something constantly happens, and it can go very fast at times as well. A great and well-themed ride that's fun for everyone. And number 8 is barrel rafting at Bombaland. This thing keeps surprising me and keeps giving me nightmares. With this intimate rapids ride, it's not always certain you'll get wet, but when you do, you really do. Every single ride definitely differs in how wet you actually get on this ride, but the waves and the rapids themselves are pretty well made, as well as the speedy and slower sections. There are fun theming elements as well. There are many great bumpy rapids, some awesome waterfalls, and a big old pool of mini tsunamis. You'll also see plenty of fun theming elements that will really make you question your existence. It's in one of the world's weirdest theme parks, and it's one I thoroughly enjoy. It's one of the best rides there.
Yeah, I do alright for myself.
Number 7 is mountain rafting at Heide Park in Germany. If we take everything from the previous entry, including the fact that it's also an intimate rapids ride, and just make it a tad more interesting, this is pretty much what you get. Really, one of the things I definitely prefer here is the alpine theming over this nightmarish theming. I love themes like this, they're so pretty, and so enjoyable all around. The ride also doesn't lack the usual shenanigans, including waterfalls, many more waterfalls.
That's a lot of damage!
The rapids themselves are also pretty good, with plenty of moments to splash you, get some of that nice clean water up on you.
Nice.
And plenty of things to see along the way, because I really enjoy the facades that this ride features. This is a good, above average rapids ride. Number 6 is Dino Splash at Phantasialand, Japan. If there's one thing I've always wanted to do, it's to slide out the double down tongue of a massive dinosaur skull. Oh boy. This mock log flume really has a great location with a bunch of vegetation all around it, making you feel like you're part of a zoo. There's even a dragon roller coaster well fit for the dinosaur theme.
That makes sense, right?
The volcano itself is actually pretty cool. Both looking at it is an amazing aesthetic, and when you're on top of it, you truly feel immersed in prehistory. And that's really what this ride does so well, aside from the fact that all of the drops deliver and get you wet, and even though it is a little shorter of a log flume, it's that overall atmosphere and how well everything is executed and integrated with everything else that makes it a perfect example of a log flume that chooses peak quality over quantity.
Huzzah! A man of quality!
Finally, somebody gets it.
I was very pleasantly surprised with this log flume. Number 5, Racha River at Walibi, Belgium. This iteration of Intamin's Rapids ride is on the shorter side, but oh boy does it deliver some fun times. Forget this long, boring tunnel. What I want are the violent attempts the ride makes to throw you overboard, as well as the way too wet water jets later on that Villas just loved. I'm pretty sure it was his favorite ride at the park. And that's why this ride makes it here, because some of these elements are just stupidly fun, especially when you're cursed by Poseidon.
Loser!
There's some great rock work on this ride, and the waterfalls and rapids are all really great, but it's especially those water jets that just makes this ride incredibly chaotic. Plus the cars are huge, so there are even more people to torture. Unless you're like me and acting like a moronic sea lion on the ride. It certainly lacks something in a few moments, but it overall has some of the best elements on any rapids I've done. At number 4 is is River Quest at Phantasialand. Speaking of getting soaked to an ungodly level, I have never gotten any more wet on any ride ever than this. I swear to you, I didn't have a single dry spot on me.
Damn, the water's fucking cold.
Aside from where I had my backpack that managed to cover a bit of my right thigh. This ain't your traditional rafting from your grandma down in Liechtenstein. This is a Hafima wild raft ride, and outside of having some of the most astonishing theming on any water ride I've done, with it literally wrapping around a massive castle and featuring a gigantic whirlpool, it also features a devilish elevator, the drop from which tries to knock you unconscious, before proceeding to not one, but two steep drops guaranteed to soak you and the backpack you brought with you.
Oh shit, y'all get me chest!
This is a ride that when a wave hits you, it's not a wave with a massive splash. It's an actual tsunami that just throws over the entire boat. Do not miss out on this ride because it is incredibly fun. It feels really intense in some sections and is by far the weirdest rapids ride I've ever done. Number 3 though is fjord rafting at Europa Park. I think this very intimate rapids ride is probably the peak of the model. The rapids are fantastic and feel like actual real rapids. You're able to overtake other boats and it feels incredibly chaotic. There are many cool elements doing the ride as well to boost the excitement, including a water jet on the final lift that my boat got stuck on. Damn you elves, or whatever fairy tale creature you're supposed to be.
Where's the baby?
And of course, I can't help but to be extremely biased to the theme itself, which obviously is excellent. This ride constantly throws something at you. From well-themed tunnels to beautiful music to wild rafts to waterfalls to basically everything you want in a rapids turn up to 11. It's got the best balance of a perfect rafting with perfect theming. At number 2 we have Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland Paris, Park Disneyland. Watch out for the dark ride spoilers in this part of the video because I will be showing some stuff on this ride of course. Intamin's French version of this dark water ride is one of the best rides I did there. The water ride aspect of this ride is unfortunately made for toddlers. In fact, you get more wet on Big Thunder Mountain than you do on the ride themed to pirates sailing on the open sea.
You're afraid to get wet.
Even though it does have 2 pretty large drops as well, but they're just there for speed. But who cares when you can watch Johnny Depp live out his capitalistic dreams of Hollywood?
Press this booty.
Jokes aside, this was actually a great part of the ride. All scenes are just spectacular. There's so much to see. You truly feel like you're part of wild pirate parties every now and then. There's like an overall story, some wonderful dark scenes with an amazing atmosphere and sound design. There's also stuff features in the movies and small Easter eggs throughout these fun adventures that you go through. I couldn't recommend this ride enough. It might not be a wild ride in itself, but it is a wonderful masterpiece of a dark ride. It was the one ride that made me geek out the most at that place, and that comes from a Star Wars fanatic.
Raider!
But at number 1, and this was pretty fucking clear as well,
There's no doubt in my mind.
is Choppa's Divasabahn at Phantasialand. Intamin does it again after taking up a total of 60% of this list. This may just be the best log flume in the world, because holy hell is this ride pure fun. I think just looking at some of the clips, it's obvious to see that the theming certainly holds its own. You are very much in some old temples, through nature, and the views everywhere you are amazing. And the fact that the theming is so good doesn't just go for it being done extraordinarily well, but also because it's really fun. Everything from the disco room with banger music, in which you can party with your fellow commandeers, to small statue men peeing on you that reminded me of these fuckers from Moana. Plus, look at it, isn't this basically the most amazing looking ride ever?
Oh, that's hot.
The ride system itself is also a wild ride. No, really, all the drops feature really fun floater, especially the big one, which I believe is the steepest one on any log flume as well. And you honestly feel like Indiana Jones falling down a waterfall before hitting a very floaty bunny hill. There's a backwards drop as well, and a switch track which has some wild laterals. This is an incredibly complicated ride, and you can have a shitload of fun interacting with all the theming, the other rides. It's beautiful, it's so complete, you can have a lot of fun and a lot of wet feet, especially if you sit in the front row, because holy fuck do your feet get soaked up there.
Disgusting!
I expect this to stay my favorite water ride until the day I lay in my grave.
Ooh, cushiony. And a mini bar.
That was it for my top 10 favorite water rides I've ever done. Remember to let me know in the comments whether or not my list is completely stupid, and I would love to hear your list as well and some of your favorite water ride experiences. Talk to me in the comments below, and otherwise it's time for, I guess I'm done getting wet now. Let dry? Fuck. Bye!
I got to roll around on the wind inside, but there's a hole